you ever received a call that you just were not expecting? Was it a call that you dreaded? Perhaps it was a call from someone asking you to do something, or to give money to something, or a call trying to sell you something, or get you to buy something. Can you think about a call that you would have been fine if you hadn't ever gotten that call? Was it a call from the church, asking you to serve on a committee, or to teach a class? You know, one of the very rude awakenings I had as I grew in my experience over the years as a pastor was knowing that, in fact, there are times when people see the church phone number come up on their caller ID and they choose not to answer the phone. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. So, let's shift it a little bit. What about a time that you have received a call that you were not expecting and it was very exciting? A call from a long ago friend that you hadn't heard from for a very long time. Or a call offering you a great opportunity. Or how about a call that said, you passed the test? Or maybe it was a call with very good news from a friend or a family member. Maybe it was a call with an invitation to do something fun or meaningful or new. Well, that's the kind of call that we read about in today's scripture. Let's follow that journey for just a moment. First, Jesus goes to Galilee, and he finds Philip. And he says to Philip, "Follow me." Well, that's a pretty direct call. And Philip goes on, and he finds Nathanael. And we can imagine that Philip probably shared with Nathanael what he had just expected from Jesus, and what had happened, and what Jesus said to him, and how he had met Jesus, probably for the first time, and that Jesus had told him, called him to follow. How had he realized? How had he known in that moment? How had it come to Philip that Jesus is the one who had been promised by Moses and all the prophets? We don't know how he knew, but it was that call that he was not expecting that somehow was exciting for him. But then there's Nathanael. And Nathanael was more like the recipient of the unexpected call that you are not so sure about. The first thing he says is, well, how can anything good come out of Nazareth? Are you sure about all this? Can we trust him? What's the catch? I see that caller ID number, and I don't think I want to answer. But Philip doesn't give up. And in his own enthusiasm, he says to Nathanael, come and see. So off they go. And when Jesus sees Nathanael coming, he recognizes him, and he remembers his integrity and his genuine faith. Now Nathanael is really confused. He's not quite sure how Jesus even knows him. And Jesus shares with him that he'd already seen him, even before Philip called him. Jesus had already seen the faithfulness of Nathanael because he was a student with others who were learning over under the fig tree. It seems that Jesus can read people's hearts, and he sees Nathanael in his true light. Nathanael proclaims his faith and answers the call from Jesus, whom he now knows is the Son of God. So just what is this call that they receive from Jesus? God in Jesus is honoring ordinary people in every place. Little places like Nazareth and Silver Lake can nurture great disciples. The call comes equally to everyone, to Philip and Nathaniel and all of us. Remember those two simple words? Follow me? Well, maybe they're not quite so simple, but they are clear. The call is to believe in Jesus and Jesus' message and Jesus' teachings, and to follow him with how we live our lives. And as we walk with Jesus, we learn more and more about who he is. And as we learn more about who he is, we understand more about what it might be to follow him. As we gather today, as Stephanie and the children have helped us to remember, we are remembering the message of Jesus to follow him, and that means to love our neighbors. Today is Human Relations Day. It is a special Sunday in our United Methodist Church. It is a day when all United Methodists around the world are gathering to worship and join together to reaffirm our commitment to reach out to all people. It is a day when we encourage growth in human relations. So let's think a little bit about what that means. Jake, if you'll help us, we're going to watch a little story. Turn your eyes to the screen and let's check it out.
Amanda DeStefano knew her summer internship with the Global Ministries Community Developers Project in Chicago would help make a difference. This recent college graduate just didn't realize the difference would be with her.
Coming here has been kind of eye-opening to just actually really meet and kind of humanize the population that is experiencing homelessness right now. I mean, we've had people here that have bachelor's degrees in engineering, or there was a guy with a master's in business administration. So you don't have to be, a drug addict, or you don't have to be a bad person to become homeless.
A powerful lesson for a young woman who grew up in an affluent area near Boston. This summer, Amanda is working as an intern through a program with the General Board of Global Ministries, which is supported by Human Relations Day offerings. Funds also support the Community Developers Program, which aims to promote advocacy and social and economic improvement in communities. She serves in an outreach ministry associated with Humboldt Park United Methodist Church that reaches people where they are. Most of the time, it's on the streets.
Logan Square is a largely Puerto Rican neighborhood, and now it is gentrifying. So they're going through this process of young, white, college-educated people are now moving to the area, and that's actually kind of starting to displace some of the Latino population.
As this Chicago neighborhood undergoes change, the Humboldt Park Social Services Center for Changing Lives is living up to its name.
We are not interested in being a band-aid. We're just treating the problem. We want to cure the problem and cycle homelessness. 485 people served this month. There's one thing we want to be able to have in our community is financial stability. And so we provide financial counseling, employment, job readiness, employment placement, case managers that really do the one-on-one form and walk with the participants.
Finding a safe place for this mother of four was just one leg of a long journey.
Has been a blessing. From the time I walked through the door, one of my goals was to definitely become self-sufficient and get my home. The other one was my education. The other one, I needed counseling. I needed some help to deal with and reason with some other issues. And another one, the big one, I'm dyslexic.
LaDonna is now a student at Northeastern Illinois University in Chicago. She's enrolled in a partnership program that's grooming her to become a teacher right in this community.
God opened doors for me in ways that I didn't see it coming.
As a summer intern, our foundation scripture has been Micah 6:8, which says, "And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God?" And I think that the Center for Changing Lives is doing that. I think social justice is exactly their work.
It is no coincidence that Human Relations Day is on the weekend when we observe the birth of Martin Luther King Jr. It is planned for this weekend. You know, our observance is more than a holiday from work or school. It is a day to remember and hear again and again the message of Dr. King, to embrace our diversity and to join together to make a difference in human life. I want to take a little time on this particular day to celebrate how much our church, Silver Lake United Methodist Church, is making a difference in people's lives. Today with your bulletin you received a summary of our financial giving for 2014. Now don't get excited, this is not a financial report. This is a report of thanksgiving. We want, first of all, to give our deepest thanks to our treasurers, Lori and Gaylord, and our Finance Committee Chair, Sue, for all of your hard work to prepare our year-end report. We thank you very much. This is the giving that we as a church have done together with our individual gifts and with your support through our fundraisers throughout the year. In addition to supporting our regular operations of church building and program and staff, together let's think about some of the great accomplishments. We have given over $4,000 to our Bridges to the Future program, which supports our conference camps and campus ministries and new churches that are beginning from the ground up. As a church, we have adopted 9 families this past Christmas to offer our gifts and our love and our financial resources to make Christmas a better time and place for them. Our Good Neighbor mission continues to grow steadily with our support for the needs of our students right across the street. And you're going to hear more about that opportunity next Sunday. And in our giving together, over $14,000, let that sink in for just a minute, or 92% of our mission shares has been contributed this year. Our mission shares is the new word for what some of you have grown up knowing as apportionments. That's the way that we join together with all the other United Methodist churches in our conference and in the country to provide mission and outreach in ways that none of us as individual churches can do by ourselves. And so when we take our $14,000 plus and join it with all of the other mission shares all around us, we are indeed making a difference as disciples of Jesus Christ. I want to invite you to watch another short story that reminds us and talks about the example that we make when we join together with other communities of faith with our Mission Share gifts. Jake, please.
My name is Britt Gilmore.
My name is Alison Gilmore. I am a missionary working in Belfast.
As a United Methodist missionary, I'm working a lot with a congregation here in Northern Ireland that's connected to East Belfast Mission, and I'm an associate minister there.
My role in my work here is primarily as a mental health counselor therapist at the mission.
The mission has a lot of projects which are engaged with some of the issues that this community has faced because of 40 years of conflict and violence, which are known as the Troubles. My role here at the church will look to build some bridges between the congregation and some of the other community.
Just to give to others, give people the time, it's just always been such a part of me. And if they can ultimately come to love Jesus and know that he has a special purpose for them.
So the community where East Belfast Mission is in a place where every day we live in the shadows of two giant cranes. And the cranes are of the Harland Pool shipyards, which 100 years ago the Titanic launched out from. And so at its height, 25,000 people have been employed in those shipyards. But over the latter half of the 20th century, that employment slowed. One of those reasons was the political violence that was happening in Northern Ireland. And so young people today, and even adults today, have, in some cases, in many cases, lack of hope. And there can be a lack of meaning in life.
And generally my work has been really dealing with people who are suffering from severe depression and just a real sense of hopelessness that they feel. And the other part of my life is also being a mother and with our children and helping them, especially over this past few months to life here in a different culture. And they're very young, they're 7 and 4 and the baby. But they have definitely experienced a lot of struggle and just really helping them cope with that and creating a home.
To be commissioned as a United Methodist missionary is a new stage in ministry for me. In some ways, it's affirming other commitments that I've made in my ordination. But to be commissioned as a missionary means that I'm doing that in a different place than my home culture.
If I could tell you one thing about being a missionary, it would be about walking into the unknown and embracing that, because it challenges the selfishness, the nice values, the nice education. It's about really taking risks and loving that person and valuing who they are and what God wants to do in them through your own messiness.
Service Fund provides first-mile giving support for United Methodist missionaries. You can provide additional support through the Advanced Covenant Relationship Second Mile Giving Program.
And so to you today, I say thank you. Thank you for answering the call. The call to be the Church of Jesus Christ, who loves our neighbors. Whether we are in Silver Lake or Topeka or Ireland or anywhere else around the world. Through your gifts, your prayers, your presence, your care, your compassion, all of your outreach and service, together we are making a difference, and we are reaching out to all people. And so I also say to us, let's continue to answer the call in this new year. Hopefully when the phone rings, however that rings, physically or symbolically for you, as Jesus says to Philip and to Nathanael, perhaps you'll hear those words of Jesus in your own life that says to each of us, follow me. May it be so. Amen.